Welcome back to Layout, everyone. Today we are going to weather my gondola fleet. We will go from out-of-the-box new to something that has seen a lot of extreme use like this. So these are 4 of the 6 gondolas that I'm going to be weathering. The first one is I actually have 2 B&O railguns, and these are going to get patched into CSX. And then I have 3 of the gondola connections, and then a TFM as well. All right, so what I'm going to be doing right here is getting the sides all bowed and dented, which is typical of the prototypes. So what I use is I have just a DeWalt heat gun. This one's cordless, but any heat gun would work fine. The one thing you want to make sure is that you're doing it on the low setting. The hot setting is just going to be too hot. And then I have just a flat-headed screwdriver, and then a Phillips. And the reason why I have the Phillips is because the shank is round versus this particular flathead is square. So sometimes I'll need the round in rolling some of these edges as I'm doing that. All right, so start here on the clean side, and all I'm gonna do is go ahead and start warming this up. So a couple ways in telling that it's hot without actually touching it is one, the ribs on the underside, those will start showing through as the plastic starts getting soft, and then also the leading edge along here will start to lift up as it gets hot. All right, so what I'm gonna do is once this gets warm enough and I can start to see the ribs, they're starting to show through, I'm gonna start down the very bottom. That's where the plastic is generally the toughest to make the indentions in. Alright, so just start pushing down with it and into in between the ribs, and again, like I said, down here at the very bottom is where it's the toughest to still push through versus here at the top it's still pretty soft. So this was the first pass. So I'm not worried about this bowing in yet, but we can go ahead and flip this up and see how that turned out. So happy with that. Again, right along here is where you meet the floor inside the gondola. With using the heat gun on the low setting, this here was always the hardest area to get. So what I'll do is when I come back in to straighten this out a little bit, I'll make sure and hit this area a couple more times as well. So I got this side all done. I'm just kind of going over a couple things. So one of the reasons why I do it on the low heat setting is if you use the higher heat setting, what'll happen is your ribs will start shifting, which really isn't like the prototype, but I ended up getting this section here a little bit too hot, even on the low setting, and these started shifting with that. But that's all right. We'll just go with something really heavy happened in this area. And then again, when you're doing this, you want to get along the floor wherever you can, because if not, you just kind of end up with some bubbles here at the top and not much down below. So I just kind of did a random pattern as I did that. So as far as the inside, what does that look like? Kind of looks like that. Looks like dog chewed it basically. But once this gets airbrushed and weathered, that'll all be part of it. So this is the first step in getting the outside of it bowed out and beat up. So I've done all of the work with the heat gun on the different cars, and first thing I'm going to do as far as weathering is going to be just a coat of rail brown. That'll be my first grime coat. So I'll be applying it to this one along with these cars as well. So I have the two railcars. Those are going to get patched into CSX. So what I'll do is I have a black acrylic that I'll put as the base here for the patching. And then I have my decals, both for road name and number, that'll be applied to these. Now that the patching is complete, I will go over this with the airbrush to knock down the gloss. Next stop is creating the rust spots where pitting and scratches have occurred through the years. I use an acrylic burnt umber and a fine brush. The first couple of dabs onto the car body are the heaviest. As the brush dries out some, I will go back over these spots to knock down some of the heaviness. Next step is creating the rust streaks. I use oil-based burnt sienna applied to the car body, and then I will streak the paint down using Gamsol. This technique creates rust streaks and overall rust when applied heavy. So I've completed the weathering on these, and pretty happy with how they turned out. I did a variation on pretty much every one. Some are rusted a lot more. My two railguns are definitely have seen better days. They have quite a bit of rust on them. The bowing and pushed out sides worked out pretty well with the heat gun. Hi, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Be sure to hit the bell where you'll get notifications whenever I post new videos. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Also, be sure to leave a comment. I try to respond to everyone's comments. And again, thank you for watching.